Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and today I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day. So far, a champion has been crowned at Major 4 in Toronto. 5 events so far this season, 5 different champions as of today. Clutches, chokes on the day, so much to dive into. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that one. First of all, wanted to mention real quick the challenger side that was going on. The winner of that was MajorManiak, Neptune, Brack and 2Real. Congratulations to these gentlemen, they took down a very hot indeed Toronto Ultra North American Academy in the losers bracket, or well, of course they made the grand finals through the losers bracket. That's Scrappy and Co. These guys beat them down 3-1 I believe to end up taking down the series, and a fair chunk of change at that. We've got to dive into these series, what eventually would be a rematch here in the grand final, Seattle versus FaZe. What a matchup these two teams had, right? In this game one, Bacage Hardpoint, I do feel like pretty much Seattle are one of the only teams, if not the only team in the game, that can really take it to FaZe on Bacage. Like, this is pretty much one of FaZe's home maps, but Seattle are pretty much the only team. I think they might be the best team in the game on this map, and I'm kind of proved it when they got to the grand finals in the rematch here. But FaZe managed to take this one down. Arcitys had a bit of a shocker in the grand finals, doesn't have a great start here. They win the map regardless, and then game 2, this really felt like where Seattle kind of had to bounce back in this one. I thought, okay, FaZe, they're coming out here, they're looking so strong, they're going to beat Seattle, they're going to get the job done. And then, well, Simp certainly had that idea on his hands right here, 1 versus 2, that really they should not have let him win. I mean, this kind of like a win on accuracy as well, are probably not something that he should be letting happen, and I'm sure they were thinking, okay, I'm going to say, lads, what do we let happen here? Because losing this game 5, or losing this game 2, round 11, was not ideal for them, right? Arcitys getting this 2-piece, and then FaZe closing out was, looked really tough for Seattle. I was like, okay, wow, they threw away this map, like at least a few of these rounds. Seattle probably going to get 3-0'd here and then go down to losers and maybe have a rather difficult time. But they have a certainly different idea when they get here to the game 3. The funny thing is that Arcitys, as we've seen this with FaZe in the past, they got up 2-0, they're talking a bit of trash, they're having a good time. Arcitys had a few gestures, let's just say, for the gentleman on the other side of the stage, and then we get one of the most ridiculous control rounds you're ever going to see. This was a 4, I'll just bring it up right here. Look at this on the screen. 14 versus 5. It looked almost impossible that this was going to be able to happen. You can see right now there's basically no one near the action for Seattle, so it seems pretty much impossible that they can actually win this, but somehow Sib gets a kill. He then managed to pick up some more with the help of his teammates, and all of a sudden they get 4 down with barely any time on the clock. Seattle actually start, well, cranking up their numbers here all the way in round 5, ended up winning this game. So this is to prevent the reverse sweep. Even when that nade comes through, I thought it was over. But Mack comes through, gets 2, the teammates clear the rest of the guys out. Pred dies, or Pred gets the Cellium kill, Arcitys dies as well. They stack the point into, brute oblivion, and there's nothing that FaZe can do about it, right? It's an unbelievable choke from FaZe, honestly. I think they got a bit aggro, but the fact that Seattle were able to clutch this, these guys in put in these pressure situations were coming up with something else today. So first of all, one of the craziest kind of control clutches you're going to see here in Vanguard, so will give them a chance in the series, and they pretty much went back to back with crazy clutches going into this map as well. This Tuscan hardpoint, the P1 rotation definitely seems to be causing FaZe some issues on this one, but happens to them in this particular situation as well. They get a fair bit of time, the scrap time over at P5. I believe they would have actually been closer to winning here, but it was a Sib that hit some crazy god grenades through the window that ended up killing the guy that was getting the scrap time. That cost them a few seconds, and they lose pretty much all the kills on this rotation as well. So yeah, FaZe and rotating to P1 on the final kind of set of rotations on this Tuscan doesn't seem to work out for them, but they had a massive advantage here, FaZe. Seattle were down 144 to 224, and I believe this was almost like 110 to 200 at a time. Seattle were down a lot. They made a crazy comeback to take it to a game 5, and once it got to a game 5, even the COD League tweeted this out, right, the kind of classic dashy choke meme from earlier this season, and they were kind of, throwing some daggers with this one. That was even before they went to a game 5. They could have potentially still won the series, FaZe, but Desert Siege doesn't seem to be their best friend, at least in the Toronto series they played, of course, earlier in the weekend, and this one as well. 6-1 in favor of Seattle. They dominate this one, so will guarantee their spot in the grand finals. Unbelievable reverse sweep. One of, no doubt, the iciest reverse sweeps I've ever seen. Of course, people talk about the greatest reverse sweep ever, arguably being, either Minnesota versus Toronto last year, or, or very arguably you could talk about FaZe versus 100 Thieves back at the Black Ops 4 World Championship, right, the 2-0 down in control, 9 versus 2 round count, and then clutching that one out. But just the fashion in which they won those map 3, map 4s were just unfathomable, and they just dominated the map 5 as well. So ridiculous stuff. FaZe go down to losers. Pred was 13 and 1 this final map as well. What an absolute monster he is. I believe the first ever Australian player to reach the grand finals of a major CWL or CDL tournament. So congratulations to him. He was kind of my pick of the year, I think, to be the rookie of the season coming into this year. I'm not sure I really put too much thought into it, but he would have certainly been right at the top of my list, I think, or thereabouts. He's certainly been proving it as of late. And even Seattle say this, right, the kind of a Nicky D curse still seems to be a thing to a certain degree. FaZe down, they say Nicky D's behind the scenes there if, of course, they needed him as a sub. And he says the following to 7,000+ likes right here. So unbelievable stuff from Nicky D and the boys. The curse seems to be continuing. And yeah, the first 2 rookies of the season to make the grand finals of a CDL major in 2022. So great performance from Seattle. They really came to play. Series stats are like this. Honestly, what I was impressed by, right, is just how consistent they are across the board here. Like, all of Simp, Pred, and Mack turned up and dropped 110 kills here. Accuracy 91 and 91, exactly what you want out of him. It was all pretty much perfect statistically. And one of the big talking points of that map 5, in light of the whole Katie Bedford drama, was the fact that aBeZy and Simp actually combined in the game 5 for 3 and 13. So, yeah, arguably, at least on Desert Siege, some more practice might have been required. Let's talk up the next series then, Toronto versus Thieves. This I thought was going to be a banger. I was at least hoping it would be. It certainly was. The crowd was going absolutely wild. That was great to see. Toronto win the game 1. Honestly, all maps here were very close indeed. Thieves probably could have won this series. Pretty much everyone played well and dropped good numbers outside of Kenny. Kind of incredible in a way how Kenny has that one unbelievable series against Optic. Probably the best series he's played this year. Drops a 1.3 with the AR, with the SMG, whatever he was required to use. The very next series, he drops a 0.7 and loses it, right? So, kind of, if anything, back to normality. The Toronto crowd were having a joke. They were saying, blow it up to the Thieves guys. They lost this game 1. They lose the game 2 actually here as well. This is a pretty ridiculous moment where Octane almost got this defuse in. Of course, the crowd was maybe doing a bit of favour, but he probably gets this kill anyway to tie it up 5-5. They win this round 11 anyway to move on to a 2-0 advantage and a 9 S&D win streak. This is across online qualifier matches and the major, right? I'm pretty sure LAG's record now just stands at a particular major, which is also remarkable. I think they got to 11 or 12 in the grand finals of Major 2 last time around, but Toronto here get to 9 in a row. They then do lose the control though. Fair play to Thieves, right? Because they've been looking pretty decent in control as of late, especially here on Berlin. They take out Ultra, take it to a game 4, but Ultra nonetheless get the job done in the end. Toronto take down the Thieves and move on to advance against FaZe in kind of the losers finals to determine who, of course, would get to go to the grand finals. But yeah, Los Angeles Thieves, they go out top 4. At the end of the day, like they played, all right this tournament. They meet some pretty good teams. They've, of course, took down Optic in a very impressive fashion. Good points on the board for them getting top 4 at this tournament in terms of their World Championship aspirations. But yeah, still not sure I've seen enough in this team yet that makes me think they can win event to the present time, even as Kenny says, played pretty bad the last map. Damn, that one sucks, says Octane. Lost every map by the closest margin. Certainly they did lose a lot of close maps in the series, but losing is losing at the end of the day. 40 grand, 30 CDL points, not bad from Thieves, better than I think a lot of people expected this tournament, but nonetheless not what they were looking for. And of course people were joking around about stuff like this. They go home with a beat Optic at Major 3 trophy that I guess Florida Mutineers also own as well. But the final series that's like this. Kind of incredible actually how Kenny goes from a 1.3 to a 0.7 the next series. But they probably did enough this weekend to keep their roster, I suppose, for the remainder of the season. If they'd lost to Optic, I wonder, especially if they got 3-0'd, I do wonder whether this team would not make it to Major 4, but it probably will do right now. Let's talk about the losers finals then. As Slasher says, Toronto on a 9 S&D game win streak. Someone's got to stop that one. Can't have our record broken that quickly afterwards, but thankfully it does come to an end. Game 1 was strange actually, because as I said earlier, right, FaZe are seemingly pretty much unbeatable on Bakash hardpoint against most teams, apart from maybe Seattle, and Ultra actually go for it and get pretty much just bodied game 1. Of course, it doesn't really matter the fashion you lose. Okay, you can lose 250, 249, or lose 250 to 130 as they did, and you can still regain and bounce back in the map too. But still, I thought it was an interesting veto decision from Ultra to go in for that one. I know CleanX is really good at that map, but by his standards, he had a really poor series here, right? And really, it was only Bance that actually turned up significantly. Bance actually was making some great plays here on the game too. This ninja defuse that really FaZe shouldn't have let happen. It was kind of funny, really, because there was a talk about aBeZy. He needs to do more search and destroy practice, needs to understand what he's doing a bit better. And he planted this bomb in a place where he could actually get stretched by Bance, who ends up stretching the ninja defuse and winning the round for them. If aBeZy plants it in a different spot, this probably isn't possible. This gives them a 3-0 edge. They then go up 5-0, and all of a sudden it's 5-4, and then I think there was even a technical kind of timeout middle of the map here, and Bance eventually clutches the 1 versus 1 to win this. So this almost was a full sale, but still, again, we almost saw another one this season. But yeah, 5-0 to 5-4 to 6-4 in Ultra's favour. They tie up the series, and this really was kind of their chance here on the control. But the first round of control here, the first 30 seconds, the game was decided. FaZe just barrel into the B point, get the ticks immediately. They pretty much already control the entirety of the map at that point. They close out 10 minutes later, win this game, go up 2-1, and then the final map of the series, what would have been the final map of the series, was, a Tuscan hardpoint. But the same thing happens to them again. This I thought was incredible. Got to shout out Carlos Covetess for this one, because he predicts before the map even begins it was going to be a 250-227 Ultra. That's exactly what happens. Unbelievable until you predicted this. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, again, FaZe did the same thing again when they get a load of time on the P5, or they go for all the scrap time, and then Ultra just set up shop at P1, and they lock down all the money hill, which effectively is the money hill in this map, really, the way a lot of this time actually works out, and they somehow close out this map and take it all the way to a game 5. And when this happened, I was like, okay, wow, FaZe, they collapsed, the momentum is super with Ultra, the crowd was so behind them, it felt like we were going to have a similar situation to Seattle, where it would go game 5, and then Seattle would just dominate the game 5. Or Toronto, of course, in this case, in this series. But and as Crone says, right, FaZe's worst nightmare, this P1 hero Gavutu, or Tuscan, sorry, that didn't really seem to be working out too well for them in those couple of series. But remarkably, actually, it was FaZe who came out about in this. I mean, honestly, I think this is more Toronto just playing terribly than FaZe playing well, because, I mean, look, Cammy was playing great, Insight's been playing great as of late, and those two guys just did not deliver at all here in the kind of, well, the game 5. The FaZe guys did. Arcitys, after an atrocious game 4, thinking about like 17 and 37 or something, he bounces back with a huge game 5. He was getting snappy kills, he was getting first bloods all across the park, and really it was only this round from Bance where he clutches a seemingly impossible 1 versus 2 that even kept them close to being in the game. But impressive, like, composure, I think, from FaZe, really. The fact that they were down, they lost in the way they did, losing those coupleless games, to go to the game 5 to regain composure and somehow close it out. That shows that, you know, championship caliber team, there is no doubt about it. He says goodbye to the crowd, and pretty much the crowd did just entirely disappear after the series concluded, to be honest. And I mean, look, Cellium, this is just what he does. He went positive every map of the series, 1.50 KD for the victory here. Toronto 3rd place, I think that's probably about what they deserve. I think they could have beaten FaZe. Their record, though, against FaZe the last 2 seasons is absolutely atrocious. They've beaten them like once, maybe in the last couple of seasons, and they played them a fair few times. So they definitely do seem to be a kryptonite, whatever the situation is in the series or the map. Like, it seems like Toronto are always going to find a way to lose here. And yeah, these are the overall series stats. CleanX with a pretty bad one by his standards, but it would just carry an Insight that failed to turn up, especially in that game 5 where they needed them the most. And that set up, of course, a ridiculous grand finals. Like, what a series we had here to finish out the tournament. Seattle versus FaZe. Like, this did not go, at least at the start, the way I expected it to go. I saw this map set right, and I was kind of thinking, okay, hang on a second here, actually, because Berlin usually is the map where generally FaZe don't like to play it at all in hardpoint, right? So I thought the fact that Berlin is here and Desert Siege Search and Destroy is here, that if somehow Seattle can have a good result over the first few maps, then, you know, they're probably going to win this series pretty comfortably with those 2 maps in the middle of the series. It did not go the way I was expecting it to, though. But the game 1 goes Seattle's way in pretty comfortable fashion, right? And we talked about the fact that earlier today, the fact that, okay, Seattle Surge in those Bacage hardpoints are the team that I think can take down FaZe. They did exactly that game 1. Game 2 was a ridiculous game, actually. Early on, it was at FaZe who had a bit of an advantage, 1-0 right here. This was actually a crazy round from Simp, despite the fact that Arcitys gets this 2-piece. He trays Arcitys, gets this final kill as well. That was pretty ridiculous. They end up going round 11 in this game and clutching up. So there were so many rounds in this grand finals where Seattle had a 4v3, threw it away. They had advantages that they threw away and didn't capitalize on. But when the clutch moments, when the push came to shove in the real situations where it was going to do or die, either you win here or you lose here, that's when they seemed to come to life. A 2-0 lead against FaZe. And then after that one, I honestly thought, okay, if FaZe lose this map too, they might just kind of lose full in the series, which seems to be kind of what happened going into this game 3, because they got bodied here on Tuscan control. Like, the fact that FaZe lost both controls in the series is, from their perspective, I'm sure, absolutely unacceptable. But, I mean, yeah, just the way they lost, the manner in which they lost, to go down 3-0 here, and then the start of the game 4, they spent the first minute getting spawn trapped on P1, and I was like, hang on a second here, this is Berlin hardpoint, a map they don't play. But FaZe, every single time that FaZe play a series like this in the grand finals, and we know what their record is like in grand finals, it's not good. It continues to not be particularly good at all, especially after this one. Specialists at losing them, it must be said, at the present time, but they never go down without a fight. It's actually quite incredible, the fact that, like, this team are just so difficult to put away. Even though Seattle were playing great Call of Duty, FaZe still won this Berlin hardpoint, a map that they don't particularly like. They take this one, then they go to a Desert Siege Search and Destroy, and they win that as well, right, after getting bodied on this map earlier in the day by Seattle. There are a few rounds here that Seattle, I'm sure they're going to rue. Well, if they'd lost the series, they would have rued them. But FaZe win this one 6-3, and now the series, all of a sudden, it's 3-2, going to, well, an incredible Berlin control. This was a 2-0 to FaZe, and in the final round, or the second final round, actually, when kind of Seattle were going to secure the tying rounds, which was incredible, honestly. The clutch factor they had to come back in this situation. There was some sort of glitch where the clock was stopping at 8.7 seconds. So FaZe wasn't even contesting, but the clock wasn't ticking down. So they could have just, sat there and not contested, and, classic Vanguard on a C. But so much to talk about, we've got to just continue onwards, because Seattle go 2 rounds down. They win 3 straights to win this Berlin control against FaZe, and this really felt like they were going to put the series away at this point. 4-2 going to a Search and Destroy. Every single grand finals FaZe has been in so far this season, and they've been in every single one of the majors. They lost 5-2. I thought it was going to happen again. That's not what happens, though, and this I honestly thought could have been the crucial gunfight of the entire series, the entire tournament, because the way that Simp gets destroyed here by Arcitys to go at this point 2-3, and then all of a sudden aBeZy's clutching rounds like this to go up 5-2, I thought, wow, hang on a second here, like FaZe are going to go back, they're going to win this map, they're going to win the Tuscan hardpoint, they're going to take it to a, game 9, who knows what happens there. But that is not what happens, despite, again, an early significant advantage for FaZe in this Tuscan hardpoint. It's really the Seattle guys that come out absolutely swinging towards the end of this map. They had a phenomenal set of rotations towards the ends, and Seattle Surge, can you believe it, right? Seattle Surge, the organization that was an absolute shambles last year and the year before as well, and now all of a sudden, like, the rebuild I've done with these players, like, the talent they've got on this team is phenomenal. Like we talked about, even when this team was underperforming, there's no move you can make to upgrade this team. It doesn't get any better in any of the roles, apart from maybe accuracy, right? And he showed up massively. He showed that, again, he's kind of infected the ice factor to the rest of these guys on the team. The staff as well behind the team. Phoenix, the coach, of course, he's a happy man here, right? Nova's behind the scenes as well. What they've done at building this roster is, nothing short of incredible, right? They deserve all the success, a phenomenal tournament run for them. And of course, the other side of things is FaZe, right? Another grand finals, another defeat. Like, what is it going to take for these guys to get over the line? We knew coming into this tournament that Seattle had a decent chance to make something happen. I did not expect them, though, to go all the way, especially in the manner that they did. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. So much to discuss on this over the coming days. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, as always. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.